and you're like, I need to do that right now. And you go to your spouse who's been with kids all day long or been at an office and doing stuff, and they did not listen to the one big thing, which I would encourage them to go do. But you've received information that you find valuable. So now you come to the person you love or you do life with, and you're like, hey, we need to do this. And they're not in the mental space to even understand what
Yep.
you're talking about. It's a timing issue. You have something, but what happens is you present an idea for creating life change to somebody else who hasn't received what you have, and their reception of it is not the expectation or the experience that you were hoping for. And the next thing you know, you're like, hey, I'm trying to make us better this year, babe. Like I'm trying to get us on the same page. And they're like, I don't have time for this right now. You
Yeah.
can create marital conflict by not understanding the flow of timing in life. And I think, man, if we can figure that out, like I get excited. I'm a person that, man, when something good happens, I want to tell everybody. And so what I found is a place of frustration is something happens with you, Susanne. I have this incredible life altering conversation, and then I get done. And the first thing I want to do is I want to call my wife, and she's with my kids right now. And so I'm going to call her, and who knows what those kids have been doing, but I'm like, hey, oh my gosh, podcast with Susanne was incredible. And she's like, okay, great. And it seems like she's not interested. She is interested because she's my best friend, but she's just not in the space to be able to understand what I'm talking about. What would be better is for me to learn from those experiences and say, there is a set time that I need to share with her how my day went. And so I wonder how many couples struggle with conflict because of timing issues, not being able to set aside time. And that's what I love about what you did. You know, when you're in the thick of this life, which I've been describing this entire time, you are trying to navigate the different layers. And I've talked about this on other shows. When you are a parent, you have children, which is a layer. You have a spouse, which is a layer. And then you have yourself. What happens is those three layers all kind of get mishmashed together. In what you're trying to do is go from one moment to the next, being super distracted, trying to figure out big life situations and never actually accomplishing much of anything. And so, you know, you just get your kids to bed and then you're like, how am I going to be a better parent? And you're trying to figure that out. And you've never given yourself the space to like decompress, to step back, and to give yourself the grace and the ability to say, this is my set time, my 25 minutes to talk. And I'm not going to text you during the day and say, Susanne, we got to talk. That's not, let's drop that in 2024. That is not helpful, but be meaningful with your time. If you do life with another person, or this could be a colleague or a business partner or whoever, if there are things that are important to you, set the time aside to really think through that so you can prioritize what needs to be done, but then recognize that the delivery is much as a timing issue as anything. So you just don't drop the ball that you're ready to have a conversation that maybe somebody else isn't ready for and it's ill received, which makes you think that they don't care. What if we were able to navigate some of those things that you just talked about? And so just learning how to recognize that, I think, is really key for a lot of us. And it kind of goes into the theme that I've been hearing from you, and you've been rocking so far, is that you're a problem solver. And I got to imagine that a lot of the opportunities that you've been given in your life is because you have recognized a problem, whether that's at an academic level, a community level, even within your marriage, what have you. You're probably somebody who just sees something that isn't working and probably doesn't, just from what I'm gathering from you, you don't just chalk it up, throw your hands in the air and go, well, that's my husband's thing to figure out, or that's my staff's job to figure out. I have to imagine you're the kind of person that recognizes something that's going on and then probably begins to either work on finding solutions, which could be incorporating team members, strengths, abilities. What do you see? Perspectives. And that's kind of what I'm picking up from you, is that I wonder, you talked about air, you talked about water being resources. There's just resources and people that are in our life. And so there's maybe people that are out there today feeling stuck, feeling isolated, feeling like nobody hears them. Maybe you have not been tapping into the resources of people that are around you to, again, set that time aside, talk with a friend and say, look, these are the goals that I have. This is what I'm working on. Is there anything that you think, that I'm missing or that I should share? You'd be surprised at colleagues, friends, what have you, that are willing to share apps, life hacks, books, resources, because you gave them permission to enter into the thing that you're trying to do. Otherwise, you're just running full speed ahead, knocking everybody over in your path, wondering why nobody gets you, nobody sees you, nobody feels it. And so from your story, is there anything as we kind of bring this episode to a close in the world of problem solving, like, you can't solve everything. Sometimes things are beyond your control. But what do you think in your either personal or professional journey when it comes to recognizing problems? What's been a good starting point for maybe that listener that like sees something is going wrong in the office or in their household is going wrong? Like, what are the initial steps you can begin to take in regards to solving a problem?
Oh, such a good question, Steve. Thank you so much. I think there's a couple very concrete steps that I do. One, when I see a problem, I immediately choose to take a very neutral mindset around that problem. I don't judge it as good. I don't judge it as bad. I almost try to put my engineering hat on and say, or my curiosity. If I look at the problem through a lens of curiosity rather than a lens of judging and say, okay, we've got a problem. Let's learn something about this problem. So I might spend 25 minutes because I don't know a lot about this problem. So I might set aside 25 minutes and I'm going to read everything I can about this problem to try to educate myself and learn a little bit. Notice that I did not say I'm going to spend 3 days or 6 hours because, like many of your listeners, I don't have 3 days. I don't have 6 hours, but I know I can do something and take action in a very focused way for 25 minutes. I know that's manageable in my day. So I might start with saying, I'm going to learn a little bit about this problem. I want to study a little bit. I don't know much about this. So I think I need to read some things. The other thing I might do, which I would encourage anybody who's feeling isolated or you're feeling alone in whatever situation you're in, whether it's your personal life or your professional life, pick up the phone or walk down the hall and say, hey, I'm feeling stuck. I'm feeling stuck on this. There's this problem that I'm looking at, and it might be in my life or it might be in my work, and I'm feeling stuck on the problem. And I would like to tell you about the problem, and I would like you to put on your thinking hat to help me sort of think through this problem. I think we spend way more time being afraid to pick up that phone or being afraid to walk down that hallway. And therefore, we waste that precious resource of time when every single time I have never run into a human being that hasn't been helpful. And I mean human beings all over the world of all different cultures and all different languages. I've never run into a time where when I say to somebody, hey, could we spend 25 minutes? I'm like stuck on this right now. Can I talk to you about this? And could you like reflect with me and tell me what you're thinking about it? Every single time I have done that, I have gotten brilliant insights. I've gotten empathy. I've gotten ideas, or I've gotten that person to say, we should talk to this person, or you should read this, or I have an answer over here. So again, it's kind of coming back to some things that are a little bit simple. It's choosing to focus for a short period of time to be able to take action on whatever it is I need to take action on. Because you made the point well earlier. We are bombarded with information in this world, which is, I think, really hard. I think there's so many voices, there's so much information coming at us. And when we give ourselves a little bit of space and focus to just focus on that one thing or to focus on that one problem, to read a little bit, to learn a little bit, to explore, or call someone and say, I'm stuck, we begin to immediately sort of loosen up the problem. We begin to find ways to solve things. We begin to find solutions. We begin to make connections with people. And the minute you start to do that through a lens of curiosity and a lens of wanting to take action and wanting to go forward and wanting people to feel a sense of inspiration and a sense of success in the problem solving effort. We don't have to look at problems as negatives. We don't have to look at problems as downers. We don't have to look at problems as anchors in our lives. Problems are reality of life on planet Earth. And if we look at problems through the lens of curiosity or engineering a solution and finding time to focus, I absolutely believe as human beings and our capabilities, our interconnectedness, We can solve every single problem that comes about. We can't always do it ourselves. We can't always do it today. We might have to do it tomorrow, or it might take several days, or it might take several months, or it might take several years. But it's about taking those first steps to focus, find some clarity, learn a little bit, upskill yourself, upskill your colleagues, and talk to people. Pick up that phone and call someone and say, I'm stuck on this. And I think if you try that simple technique, you'll immediately feel a sense of relief by who you can tap into, who might be who has great insight into being able to help you think through something more clearly.